Edward from London. Thanks for waiting.
Oh, hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Oh, yeah. Nice to speak to you both again. I'd like to talk about energy slowing down into physical and becoming conscious. That we all agree that that is the case.
Do we?
But that you believe.
I don't even know what that means. Energy slowed down and became conscious?
Yeah, your framing of this and telling me what we actually believe, when neither one of us seem to understand what you mean by that. I mean, we may believe that. I just don't recognize what you've said as what I believe. So we'll probably have to start with some definitions and explanation.
Okay. Yeah, sorry. Well, physical, like Einstein says, E equals mc squared. So physical, apparently, I'm not a scientist. This is just
Clearly.
what I've been told from scientists, that physical is made up of slowed down energy.
Okay. I don't know.
Or would you?
Let's just let you run with that.
Premise. Are you saying that physical has always been? Sorry, I didn't hear you.
I think it gives a false impression that like energy is something that just slows down and becomes matter. The matter energy conversion is not necessarily like that at all.
Slow down energy.
Ah.
Well, no, I learned this from scientists.
Okay.
The physical is slowed down energy. That's what physical is. But you could, if you don't believe that, or if you don't know about that, we can use that physical has always been. But I don't think that's what scientists say. They say that energy and physical are kind of the same kind of thing. And so,
I'm fine with the fact that there's a relationship between matter and energy. You can talk about energy being condensed. You could possibly talk, but when you start saying energy slows down and becomes matter, I don't think you need to qualify it with "I'm not a scientist," because that's not really the way these ideas would be expressed by people who are experts in that area. And I'll point out, neither of us are experts in this area.
Right.
So I guess I'm just wondering, what's the point you're trying to get to this week?
Well, first of all, I'm just repeating what I've heard scientists say, that physical is slowed down energy. That isn't my point. My point is that energy, or if you want to say physical, energy and physical can become conscious.
Well, I would say energy.
Agree with that, but my point is that.
Go ahead.
Yes. Yeah. That I believe that there's intelligent manipulation, and you would say that there is no intelligent manipulation. But that, because you haven't got any proof, that is a belief.
Okay.
Without any proof.
So my position is not there's no intelligent manipulation. My position is the claim that intelligent manipulation is required or did take place has not met its burden of proof, and therefore I cannot believe it.
Yeah, okay, I don't mind discussing that, but I would go a step further, and I would say that your belief is that energy can become conscious without intelligent manipulation. I would say that
so
is your
stop.
belief.
First of all, stop telling me what my beliefs are. I don't tell you what you believe. You are. You are telling me.
Well, I'm presuming.
Okay. Well, stop presuming and let's actually discuss it. What good does it do? Like if I called you and just said, what you believe is that there's a magical man in the sky who turns your energy into consciousness. Does that do any good?
Well, it's not far from what I believe.
I realize that it's probably not far from what you believe, but if I just presumed that and instead you had a different view of this, then all I would have done would have been to prop up some kind of straw man to beat on. Now, if you want to say that that is your belief, that there's a magical man in the sky, then we can discuss that. But when we talk about, basically, what I understand you to be calling in about is an explanation for how we're conscious. Right?
Yeah, ultimately, I would say that it's by means of intelligent manipulation of energy.
Sure. Why do you believe that intelligent manipulation? Why do you believe that intelligent manipulation is either required or did in fact happen?
Well, I want to ask the same question to you. Why do you believe that energy can become conscious without intelligent manipulation? What are you
I just explained. I just explained to you.
That.
I just explained to you that's not my position. I don't have an explanation for consciousness. Okay. I am not asserting that consciousness can or does happen absent some sort of intelligent manipulation. I am saying that if you claim that intelligent manipulation is required or did happen, you have adopted a burden of proof and you need to meet it. And until such time as you do, I have no reason to believe that intelligence is required.
Yeah, I would totally agree with you.
Because I'm right.
I also say that your burden of proof. Yeah, you are right.
But here, I think there's a little bit of a wait. There's the problem here, Edward, is that you seem to be conflating what Matt is saying he doesn't believe with what he does believe. So Matt is saying that he is not accepting the proposition you're putting forward, and you're saying that that means that he believes that this was given rise to without an intelligence, but he has not expressed what he does believe. He simply said what he doesn't believe, and you're conflating that with what he does believe.
Yeah.
And so I asked you, why do you believe that an intelligence is required or actually was involved in the rise of consciousness? And instead of answering why you believe that, you decided that you would ask me why I believe it's not required, which isn't necessarily my position at all. Can you not offer a reason why you believe this?
Yeah. Well, that's my question. I'm asking you the same question.
Wait, let me try. Can I use a version? Okay, Edward, I want to try to use
I'm going to take a nap.
A variation of a gumball analogy that Matt used to use. Let's say that we have a big jar full of just rainbow colors of gumballs, right? Just like it's full of Skittles, let's say, right? Because Skittles come in all these colors. And I'm looking at this jar of Skittles, and somebody says, I believe that there are more green Skittles in that jar than any other color. And I say, what makes you believe, why do you believe that? And they're telling me, well, I think that's what's true, and you should believe it too. And I'm saying, well, why should I believe it? Why do you think there's more green Skittles? And they say, yeah, I don't know. Intuition. And I'm like, well, yeah, but that doesn't really convince me there's more green Skittles. So if you're asking me to believe there are more green Skittles in that jar than any other color, I don't. And so they're turning around and then they say to me, so you're saying that there's more red Skittles than any other color. You understand why me saying I don't believe them doesn't say that what I do believe?
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I would say that beliefs count for absolutely nothing. And that's why I'm questioning what I'm presuming is your belief.
Right, but what I'm saying is why would you presume that if I tell you that I'm not convinced there are more green Skittles in that jar than any other color, that I have said that there are not more green Skittles than any other color? I didn't say that. I said that you have not convinced me that there are. I didn't say that I'm convinced that there aren't. Did I?
Yeah, I understand you.
I don't think you do
understand your point, but the default should be I don't. Beliefs count for nothing, so the default should be I don't know. I don't know whether energy can become conscious by without intelligent manipulation or with intelligent manipulation.
That's fine.
The default shouldn't be I will believe this until proof.
Correct. Now explain why you have departed from the default that I'm holding.
Well, I would say that the default should be. I would say that correct me if I'm wrong.
You are.
I would say that the default is I don't know. I don't know whether it can happen if it happened with intelligent manipulation or without intelligent manipulation.
We agreed that was the default. You have departed from the default.
Yeah.
And I'm asking why you have departed from the default.
How has Matt departed from the default? Can you explain what it is that, like, why you think he has held, why do you think he holds a position that this is unknown?
Rather than saying I don't know whether it was intelligent manipulation or without intelligent manipulation, I'm presuming that Matt is taking the stance of energy can become conscious.
Can we just hang up on Edward now?
I mean, guess I don't know why you think that. Like, I don't understand.
Since I just fucking told you that's not the case.
Before you cut me off, can't you clarify that? Okay, so you're saying you don't.
Edward. I already have clarified it. I specifically agreed with you that the default position is I don't know whether or not an intelligence is required to intervene.
Right.
And I pointed out before then, when you said that my position was that an intelligence is not required, I said that's not my position. My position is that I am not convinced that an intelligence is required. I clarified this several times, and you are still arguing against this straw man, even after both of us have tried to explain this to you. And Tracie did it with Skittles. And we have agreed on what the default position is. Now, the default position for, let's say, how does consciousness arise? My position is, I don't know. And then the question becomes, is an intelligent mind required to manipulate in order to result in consciousness? And my position is, I don't know. But your position is that you do in fact believe that an intelligent mind is required to manipulate in order to result in consciousness, correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
So you're the one who has departed from the I don't know position, correct?
Yeah, correct.
Can you explain to us why you've done that without saying I've done it too when I haven't?
Okay, yeah, all right. Well, I beg your pardon. Maybe I misunderstood from my limited research on yourselves. I presumed, which I said initially, that it was a position, a premise that energy can turn into consciousness with it.
Edward, I don't need another explanation. I don't need you to explain for the 10th time that you presumed. You have presumed and we've called it out. You presumed and we called it out. I don't need you to explain why or the fact that you presumed. Please either give an account for why you believe an intelligence is required, or I'm moving on to some other caller.
Okay, so what, are you asking for proof?
Oh, for Christ's sake.
From me, yeah? So, okay, I accept it.
You know, you're in England. I realize that we're two countries separated by a common language, but I don't think that my English is so bad that it should result in this much anxiety. How many ways can I say, please give us your explanation for why you have departed from the neutral starting position to your present belief that an intelligence is required in order for consciousness to arise?
Yeah, okay, because the intelligent designer has communicated with conscious human beings in the form of text.
The Bible.
And that the proof of that text is fulfilled prophecy, and it is deliberately difficult. So,
yeah, we've gone down this prophecy road with Edward before, and he was specifically told that if he called back in with this without offering an understanding of what.
For the record, prophecy is one of the worst possible apologetics to anybody. I mean, there is so much wrong with the concept of fulfilled prophecy. Yeah. It's just not even.
I would, you know, I don't necessarily want to be entirely self-promotional on the show, but I do have another project other than the Atheist Experience. This is where I volunteer. I also have a project on Patreon called Atheist Debates, and there I cover a lot of topics. And they're on my YouTube. They're free for everybody to see. And I cover prophecy and burden of proof. And I've talked about the gumball analogy. All of these things are explained in detail in little, you know, maybe 30-minute-ish videos to try to be as clear as possible. And it frustrates me that we can spend years doing this show and having these conversations. Yes, we're going to get the same questions over and over. That's unavoidable. But to have the same caller,
right.
keep calling in,
yeah,
and have it to repeatedly explain, don't presume that because I don't believe you, that I then believe the opposite of you, and then try to use that while offering nothing. Oh, well, I believe that intelligence is required for consciousness. Why? What was his reason for believing intelligence requires, or consciousness requires an intelligence? Because the intelligent designer has communicated with human beings through text. Please point to any one of those that actually addresses the beginnings of consciousness, because I can communicate to you through text, but I'm not responsible for your consciousness. You couldn't even construct a simple syllogism to back this up. Instead, it was, I believe. You weren't telling me why you believe. You were telling me what you believe. This gets back to whether or not something is an explanation.
Yes, I was just thinking that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I was like, it's still not an explanation. It would be something I don't understand, did something I don't know, and then consciousness. That's not an explanation. An explanation is supposed to shed light on the process by which something came to be. And this is not saying a thing I can't understand, did something I don't know, and then this. That's like saying X plus Y equals,
Bicycle.
Consciousness. And it's like, that's not an explanation. Can you tell me what X is? No, I don't understand it. Can you tell me what Y is? No, I don't know. Well, then you didn't explain consciousness.
But you didn't even get close, because when you say, I believe that consciousness requires an intelligence, and my reason is, I believe an intelligence talks to human beings. Edward, from now on, when you call in, they should just label you non sequitur man, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, because it's like even if there were completely solid prophecies with names and dates and from today, right, that were written 2,000 years ago in the Bible, and we could verify that, how would we know that these other claims were accurate?
I predict that I will hang up on Edward every time he calls. There's some prophecy for you.
It doesn't mean that everything else Matt says is correct.
But yes, even if that turned out to be completely true, everything else I say could be wrong. Yeah. Which gets us back to the other caller about you might find something. This is why I don't want people desperately looking for something in the Bible that is good and worth hanging on to while they shrug off all the garbage. Yeah. Because if, in fact, you just look at it as a book where there's a bunch of things, some of them are true and some of them aren't, okay, fine. I'm good with that.
Yeah.
But if you view it as the manual for life written by the all-wise creator of the universe, the second we start pointing out problems, that book goes away. It's start dripping red paint into that bucket of white,